So, what's going on? You want me to sing? What am I, some kind of clown? I'm here to make you laugh. Wife's home early. I just started the stream. It's all good though, because ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Mm-mm-mm. Only darkness every day. Mm-mm-mm. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house is not a home. Anytime she goes away. Look at the camera, fool. And I know. I need a haircut when she's gone, but this dog is a knowing fall. Cause there ain't no sunshine. Who's that? Mama home? Go get her. Go get her. Go. Who's here? Hey, no sunshine when she's gone. Hey, boo. Hi. Will you close my door? I just started a stream. I just started a stream. I didn't think you were going to be home this early.
I can't hear anything from this asshole. Hold on. Say it again.
I said I just started a stream. Didn't realize you're going to be home this early if you want to shut the door.
Okay. All right.
You shut the door?
What?
Will you shut the door?
Yes.
Thanks, Angel. Hey, no sunshine when she's gone.
Come on. Let's go. Come on.
Hey, go. Get out of here.
Here.
And I know. Hey, keep. All right, go. Keep going. You too, little shit. Thanks, Angel. Hey, no sunshine when she's gone. Fragging some bots. What in the hell does that even mean? All right, here we go. Let's I forgot to dummy. Share screen. Which one? This one. Share. Okay. 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 Only darkness every day. What, I can't split screen now? All right. Here's what we're doing tonight. Because Grady's a piece of garbage. He literally, just from listening to his press conference, which I'm going to play again, I'm going to play it at 1.5 speed so we don't have to listen to all this crap again. I'm not going to interrupt him. And then I'm going to play you his victim's version of what happened. Okay? So I'm going to let it run. Let's go to the beginning.
Would go over an arrest that we did yesterday along with the Florida Highway Patrol. And here's where it started. A 27-year-old man was stopped in the Kathleen area on State Road 35A, which is the Kathleen Road. He pulled into a neighborhood. He was driving a blue Chevy pickup truck without a tag. And when the trooper approached him, he wouldn't get out of the vehicle. He wouldn't talk to him. He said he didn't have a right to stop him. He said, I have the triangle on the back of my vehicle because it's a farm vehicle. I don't have to register it. The trooper noticed the butt of a firearm, so he retreated back to his car because this Samuel Doolin was not cooperating and asked for assistance. Other troopers responded as well as sheriff's deputies. When we got there, we immediately talked to the troopers and we began to hail him and direct him to get out of the vehicle and to show us his hands. Well, he showed us his hands, but he wouldn't get out of the vehicle. He said it was an illegal traffic stop. So our deputies continued to request him to get out of the vehicle. He continued to resist. He had his girlfriend with him. She got to be a part of this and even got some charges as a result. She's Tiffany Bean. So now you've got Samuel Doolin and Tiffany Bean in the vehicle. We break the back window out of the pickup truck. He still refuses to get out of the vehicle. We immediately tased him, and once the taser struck him, he became more compliant. We pulled him out of the vehicle and arrested him. Here's what we learned. He wouldn't identify himself. He wouldn't get out of the vehicle. We saw a handgun. And when we asked him about all this, he said, well, you know, I'm kind of a sovereign, and I don't recognize state law enforcement. They have no authority over me. This was an illegal stop. Only the elected sheriff has authority, law enforcement authority. Well, he learned before the day was over that he was right. The sheriff's office does have authority, and we appropriately charged him. But he also learned the state troopers have authority as well because they charged him as well. We took him into custody. Tiffany immediately lost interest in wanting to resist any further, so she was simply arrested and taken into custody for resisting. Samuel Doolin is the older brother to one of the Doolins that was arrested as a response to the January 6th event by the FBI. It's the same family. Quite frankly, when we got there, he showed the hands, but he was not getting out of the truck. We had no right to take him out of the truck because the State Highway Patrol had no right to stop him, no right to arrest him or detain him. Well, he learned differently. So at the end of the day, he's in jail, charged with a lot of different charges. He posted bond and was just about to get out of jail. However, my detectives went and added another charge that you may not be aware of carrying a concealed firearm, because the way he was carrying these firearms was illegal. During our investigation, we learned not only was he carrying firearms, but he had altered the handgun, the Glock, and he'd also altered the AK or the AR-15 so that they were fully automatic. That's another violation of law. So he's picked up several felony charges. It's interesting. He went from no arrest to several very significant arrests with altering guns to be fully automatic. Now he says, this is what he told us, that he was an Army Ranger and he was just released from the military because he wouldn't take a COVID shot. I don't know if that's valid or not, but I know that's what he told our detectives and deputies. So this is one more example of the Florida Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Office working together to ensure the safety and security of the community. He had the ability to be very violent, and we just thank God that he didn't pull that gun and start shooting a fully automatic firearm at the troopers before we got there or at us either. But he's in jail. The community's safe. He's facing a lot of serious charges because of the relationship with his younger brother and him being under federal charges. We've also notified the FBI. So in the event they want to tack on any federal charges as well, that's their decision. We won't make that decision. We can't make that decision. However, he says he has sovereign tendencies, and today he has jailhouse tendencies. You know what I'm saying? So that's our Christmas present to him, early present. When you don't obey the law, we're going to lock you up. Merry Christmas.
Sheriff, can you speak to how dangerous it is to convert guns to fully automatic?
Well, first and foremost, it's against the law, makes it a felony. And in addition to that, a fully automatic firearm can malfunction. And the reason they can malfunction is because if you look at the way these were altered, and you'll see that there's several ways to alter firearms, and obviously I'm not going to discuss all of them with you, but one is to buy a piece of equipment and put in it. The other is to alter the existing equipment, and that appears to be what he did on this case. So even if you're not violating any other law, when you alter it, you're violating the law, plus you're putting yourself at risk. Even if you're altering it just for the sport of shooting an automatic firearm, it's dangerous.
Do you think there's a connection between him, sounds like, questioning authority during this incident and what his family accused of doing on January 6th?
I have no idea about that. I do know he said he was sovereign and that he did not have to obey the law. Newsflash, you do. And the sovereigns that don't pay attention to the law get to learn about it the hard way. Interestingly enough, even though he doesn't have to obey the law from the state troopers, he had a copy of the statute dealing with farm vehicles in his car. And he was using that as the evidence that this is a farm vehicle. No, it's not. It's a registered pickup truck without a tag, and you can't operate that on the roadway. Had he just capitulated to the stop, the trooper would have written him a citation, and away he would have gone, more than likely. But the deeper they got into it and noticed the concealed firearms and his resistance, it elevated very quickly. We're fortunate that he did not aggressively try to hurt the trooper or any of our deputies. And because he didn't, we didn't hurt him.
Do you believe that he may be in possession of other automatic firearms on his property or something? I mean, have you guys searched that? Or?
We have to limit the arrest to the immediate vicinity. We don't have any information or any reason at this point in time to execute a search warrant on his property. So we don't know what else he may or may not have. What we do know is he picked up several felony criminal charges. What we know is he was not a felon before. He wasn't he didn't have any criminal record before. So he managed to go from ostensibly a law-abiding citizen to picking up a lot of serious felony charges that he's now facing over simply not having a tag on his truck. Now, come on, man. It doesn't take rocket science to figure out in the state of Florida, when everybody else has got a tag on their car, you got to have one too. And if you don't, then we're going to cite you and take the appropriate action. And as a result, he chose to do it the hard way. We can do it the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The state of Florida is determined you have to have a tag to operate your vehicle on public property. He ignored the law. He went to jail.
Any indication on how he plans to use the weapons against law enforcement? Because clearly he doesn't have any respect, or doesn't embrace the authority of law enforcement, or at school or anyplace else.
No, actually, he told the trooper, when the trooper said, "Why do you have these firearms?" He said, "Well, I have it to protect myself from law enforcement." So he had those firearms, according to him, to protect himself from law enforcement. He did not pull the weapon out. He clearly showed his hands to us. But we find that all of that suspicious. If, in fact, he was an Army Ranger, my experience is that Army Rangers are top-of-the-line people and wonderful people and heroes. And all of a sudden, he goes from Ranger, if that's accurate, to making a fully automatic weapon out of one that's not, to protect himself from law enforcement. What you see here is a guy that's got a screw loose, but we tightened it up for him.
Does it concern you, Sheriff, considering his family's history of January 6th and all, that he had this type of weapons, that he made those type of statements, I mean, does that draw even more concern to you?
Well, it just follows the sovereign thought process, and he already admitted that to us. But anyone who has a firearm and displays it, let me say that again, anybody who has a firearm, displays it, possesses it, and threatens that it's here to protect them from law enforcement, that's the person we need to be concerned with. Now, having said that, we saw the polar opposite while we were there, in that he completely showed us his hands the whole time and never offered any overt motions to grab the gun. So it's important to point out that he cooperated in the sense that he showed us his hands, but he wasn't getting out of the car. He was not agreeing to the traffic stop. And I guess he thought at some point in time we'd go, okay, it seems like you know the law. Let us go, leave you alone. That's not how it works. So he had to learn the hard way. But, there are many of us that are going to have different kinds of Christmas presents this year. His Christmas present from us is felony charges. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Can you give me a quick primer on automatic weapons? Did he make the Glock and the AK-47 automatic? or is that
Both the
okay?
handgun and the rifle. And the rifle was cut, the barrel was cut off, so it was illegal because it was too short. So he had a short barrel rifle that he had transferred over to a fully automatic firearm, and the same thing with his handgun. And we have some pictures of ammunition drums that were fully loaded that he had for those firearms with him.
With his relatives connected to January 6th, we're hearing that his cousin is Jonathan Pollock, who's still on the run. Do you think his arrest could maybe help you guys track him down or help federal authorities track him down?
I don't know whether or not Jonathan Pollock is his cousin or not. I mean, I don't know if he is. I'm not familiar with that. So certainly, when we took him into custody, he asked for an attorney. So he's not interested in talking to us. He seemed well versed in the law in his mind, but he asked for an attorney. So do I think it'll help? No, but at the end of the day, Pollock will surface. They will find him, and at that point in time, he'll be taken into federal custody. So the bottom line is, he can have this looming over his head for however many years that he wants to. The charges aren't going away, and it would be much better for him to turn himself in, deal with it, man up, take responsibility, use his lawyer, go to court. If he didn't do anything wrong, he'll be found not guilty. If he did, he needs to pay the price. He needs to man up and take responsibility. Or he can run like he's doing now, and eventually some law enforcement someplace in the United States will come across him, and then we'll arrest him. Then he'll go through that process. So my statement to Mr. Pollock is, you can keep running, you can keep hiding, but eventually you're just going to go to jail tired and stressed from having to worry about it, because you're going to go to jail over this.
How concerned are you with that family and their thought process? I mean, being in your county, in North Lakeland, I mean,
But there's 750,000 people in the county, and there's 20+ million in the state of Florida. Every now and then you're going to run across somebody who presents to be dangerous. This family, by and large, has not been violent toward us ever. We've had traffic stops on some of the families, given them traffic citations, but Samuel has chose to have this gun, and he wasn't dangerous or violent toward us. He had the tools to be violent and dangerous, but he wasn't. Thank goodness. So at the end of the day, we take everyone serious that poses a threat. And our statement to Mr. Doolin here and to his family is, behave, follow the law. This law is created to protect all of us, to protect the Doolins, the Pollocks, and everybody else in the United States. And you have two choices. You can be on the right side of the law, or you can be on the wrong side of the law. If you're on the wrong side of the law, the right side of the law is going to come after you. It's your choice. How do you want to go to jail?
All righty. I did a whole video yesterday destroying this whole press conference he did, if you want to see it. So now let's go to not this. What is this crap? What do I got to do here? Refresh it or what? Huh. There he is. Polk illegally recovered. Where's the one I just watch again? All right. Where's the comments? Comments. Where are those at? Okay, here's John. All right. All right. So here comes Samuel Doolin's video. The guy, Sheriff Grady Judd, this dangerous sovereign who doesn't believe the laws apply to him. Here's his version of events, okay? I'm going to try not to pause the whole time. You probably can't see that because I'm not doing it right. Hold on. No. Yep, that's the one. All right. Let's see what I look like. Tell me if you guys can hear it. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, okay. Played the wrong one. All right, here we go.
Hello, folks. My name is Samuel Timothy Doolin.
This is the guy Grady Judd was just talking about. This is the crazy, psycho, felonious sovereign with the ability to cause violence, and we needed to get him off the streets.
Got a few notes jotted down to keep me on track before I go into the story. But I've been hearing some concerns from friends and family who are a little shocked by some of the accusations and statements they've been hearing from the news and Sheriff Grady's press conference. It seems it's been 6 days since me and my
I'm going to go say hi to the wife. Watch this guy and watch how crazy this guy is. He's everything Grady said and more. Not.
fiance were violently assaulted. And 3 days since the press conference, I just felt led to tell the facts of the events that occurred that day. There's been a lot of emotions and politics and assumptions that have been tainting what I've seen online. And so I'm just here to clear some of that up. First, let me say that I have no ill toward any of the officers that showed up that day. Most were just going off of bad information that was given and had really no clue as what was really going on that day. The same applies for Grady in the press conference. Secondly, I'm willing to face the consequences for standing on my convictions, the Constitution, and the Word of God. And if I am found guilty or convicted of any immoral or unjust actions, I will readily suffer the punishment. Now, thirdly, and most importantly, in regards to the claims that I stated that my firearms were to use against law enforcement, or the claims that I said I am a sovereign citizen, or anything that could possibly or reasonably be construed to mean the same, or that I willfully and knowingly broke any law or disobeyed any lawful orders, are completely false and are either hearsay or straight up fabricated lies. And I'm confident that once you hear the circumstances and the facts surrounding the case and the events of that day, that though we may not have the same convictions, that you will come to the same conclusion as I, that certain officers have behaved themselves unjustly and dishonestly and endangered many lives as a result. I will try to be brief and as detailed as I can to help clear up some of these misunderstandings. And I will try to post more information and videos at a later date. Thank you, and here's this side of the story. Okay, so here's my side of the story. I'm going to try not to caveat too much stuff, but it might have to happen. So on Thursday, I got my girl in the truck, and we're driving at 6:30 in the morning. And we're driving down the road. It's a little bit dark, and so I see a state trooper up ahead, and after I pass him, he pulls out. Pulls up behind us, and we drive for a second, and then he pulls past us and drives on. And so he stays ahead of me about 50 feet for a few seconds, a few minutes, don't know what, but it was a little while driving. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, he hits his brakes, comes up behind me, and turns on his lights. So after he's turned on the lights, he goes, he turns on his lights. I pull off the road and pull into a subdivision and getting him off the road. And so he pulls up behind me, and I turn off the truck, turn it all off, and have my hands where he can see them. And next thing I know, he walks up to the door, and he points to the window. And so the state trooper's pointing to the window, and my flap windows are open. So I don't have any knobs on my windows. They don't work. It's an old truck. So I go to tell him, hey, my windows don't work. And so next thing I know, he opens the door before I can say any of this. He opens the door. And so, and he takes a step in and starts talking to Tiffany, my girl. And so I look at him like dumbfounded, like, what are you doing? And so I'm like, hey, he's not paying me any attention. I'm like, hey. And he looks at me. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's illegal. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, sir, it is. And he's like, well, prove it. So I tell him, I don't have to prove it. This is my truck. So after this, during this conversation is he looks down and then he looks back up. So I believe that's when he saw my rifle and whatnot. Again, we never, main point, knock on wood, this is the main point. We never discussed any firearms whatsoever, ever. He looked down, and then we continued the conversation. We never discussed them. So I'm like, hey, it's illegal. He's like, whatever. And he's like, give me your license. So I look at him like, I'll give you my license, but why are you pulling me over? He goes, You don't have a tag. I'm like, well, I have a tag. It's that orange thing. He's like, well, that just means you can go 25 miles an hour. And I look at him and I'm like, no, sir. I'm like, go look up the law. It means a lot more than that. And so he goes, well, give me your license and I'll go look it up. And so I look at him. I'm like, no, sir, go look it up and have a reason for pulling me over. Then come talk to me. And so he's mad at this point. And so he slams the door and walks around. Key point. He does not retreat. He does not discuss the rifle. He does not discuss anything. Second point. I have never concealed anything in my life. Never concealed carried ever in my life. These weapons aren't concealed. So second point. So he's not afraid. He doesn't retreat. We don't talk about the firearms. Nothing's ever said. And then he walks around to the front. So when he walks around to the front, he's focusing. He's beside my mirror and he's sticking his light in the window, in the windshield, looking for the VIN on the dash. And as he's doing this, he's like, move that stuff out of my way so I can see the VIN. And I go to move it and I stop and I'm like, no, sir. He's like, what? I'm like, this is inside my truck. I don't know what you're thinking. And he goes, ironically, I have the statute for the farm vehicle. I have the law right there. And that's the thing he's telling me to move. So again, focus this. He's so oblivious that he's not even seeing this is the statute. And he's not paying attention to me or my girl. And so this man is not afraid. He is just having a power trip. So he gets mad, he huffs, and he walks back to his truck. So I'm like, okay, this is
It sounds like everything cops do so far.
not really going very well. I've had good interactions with sheriff's department. I've never had a bad interaction with a police officer. This state trooper is a new
How's that possible?
deal. And I'm like, well, this is different. So I'm like, I go ahead and pick up my phone and I call my buddy and I'm like, hey man, this guy's acting a little funny. I just want you on the phone. You don't have to come. And so I throw it on the dash and I go ahead and I reach up and I have my lights rigged in this old truck. And so I hook them up and I turn them on so you can see inside. Again, hands aren't going somewhere where you could say I'm threatening you. They're up here working on some lights. I turn them on. He can see me now and feel safe. And I grab my pizza and I start dramatically eating it. So there would be no argument of where my hands are. And then secondly, police officers in their training, they're taught to be very authoritative. Go ahead and start the conversation, take authority and kind of lead everything where it's going because that's your protection if you just keep in charge of everything. And so
And that's what's getting them messed up right there. That they think they're the king of you and whatever they say you need to obey or else. And this is why we have a police problem right there. Exactly what he just said.
it's neither good nor evil. It can, if it's used wrong, it's a problem. If not understood, it's a problem. And so I'm like, well, I'm going ahead and gonna kill the tension here, and I'm just gonna eat my pizza and stuff and act like everything normal because it is, and we'll drop this back down to zero. And so I'm eating my pizza. The next thing I know, the man walks up, and he's standing beside the door, so he's standing right here. And so off to the corner, and he goes, "Get out of the truck!" And I'm like, I look over at him. I'm like, "No, sir." And he goes, he's looking at me. I'm like, "Look, this is my only protection between
Donut operator. Pennsylvania versus Mims.
me and you. I don't know what you're thinking." And so he looks at me, and so I can see he's just getting madder. And so I go ahead and I'm like, "Look, we started off on the wrong foot, sir." I'm like, "You opened my door. I was a little perturbed by it." I'm like, "So let's just start over. This is a farm, it has a farm tag. I'm willing to give you my license." And I don't know if I told him my name was Sam. I don't remember, but I really don't get any words out. I just say, "Let's start over." And the man goes and walks away. So he's power tripping. He's not being patient, and he's not discussing. We're not arguing. We're not having long conversations and debates. He's not having any patience. So he walks off. And so he gets in his car, and my buddy's on the phone. I'm like, "Hey, bro, you might want to get up and head this way. This guy's acting all weird, and this is probably not going to end well." And so he starts getting up and getting dressed. We're not really worried about it. It's just this guy's acting funny. So I'm sitting there, and next thing I see a police officer fly down the road. I'm like, this isn't going to go well. And next thing I know, 5 police officers or more just boom, all fly in on the road. And so I see
Sean's here. Congrats on your win on the 75th precinct. Good job, good job, good job. Keep it up.
this in my mirror, and I'm like, hey, bro, you're going to want to have to come quick, because this guy's apparently has said something. I don't know what he's saying, but he's going ahead and he's taking this to a 10. So I'm like, they're probably going to do a snatch and grab and snatch us out of the vehicle. I'm like, so I'm going to need you here to take some of the stuff so when they impound the truck. And so he's headed this way. And so as this is all going on, next thing I hear over the intercom, come out with your hands up. Or no, my bad. They say, put your hands where we can see them. So I stick my hands out the window, and I tell my girl, stick her hands out the window. The main windows are up, but the little flaps are open. So we shove our hands in the little vent window. And so the next thing I hear, get out of the vehicle. Well, this whole time, again, we haven't had a conversation about anything. And I have never been told I was arrested. I'm just being told, hey, give up your rights so I can just kind of do whatever I want. And so if I step out from my understanding, if you willfully get out and you're willfully setting your rights aside, kind of like if you have a fenced in property and the officer comes up and he's telling you to take a step off your property, he has no good intended. He's trying to do something without a warrant or whatnot. So I understand it's the sheriff's department. I'm like, these are reasonable guys. I've never had a bad confrontation with them or anything. So I'm like, these are reasonable guys. They're going to bring this back down. They just don't know what's going on. This guy's apparently radioed something up, and I don't know.
These are reasonable guys. See, this is a good guy, and he thinks everyone's a good guy. My wife has issues too. She thought everyone was just a good person like she is. But that's just not the case, unfortunately.
And so I stick my hand out the window, and they're like, get out of the car. They're over the intercom, and I'm like, come to the window, because again, I'm boxed in and can't really get my voice out. And so all of a sudden, that's all I say. And next thing I see this bulletproof shield show up in the corner of my car right here, right up in my face. And right next to him is a rifle. And my blood pressure just, and so I'm like, this ain't good. And so this man's got a rifle.
License plate infraction.
In my face, and he's terrified. This terrifies me. I'm like, rifle's one thing. This man's scared to death. I don't know what the state trooper said to him. I'm just thinking, someone's lied to this guy, and he's terrified of me for a reason. I ain't making a move. So my hands are shoved in the window. He's right here beside me, and I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? He's like, get out of the car. Get out of the car. And I'm like, no, sir. I'm like, just talk to me. He's like, get out of the vehicle. And so after a second or two of me just telling him to speak with me, just talk to me, this man's lied to you. After that, he calms down a little bit, and he lowers his rifle and he pulls out his baton, and he strikes the window. And after it doesn't break, he strikes it again. It bounces off. And so
Did Grady mention this part? No.
now he's looking a little flustered. So I kind of smirk a little bit because what do you call it? Before the Army, the window shattered, and I replaced it with plexiglass. And the little dark humor is, this man's about to cure me. He's embarrassed and terrified, and he's about to shoot me, and I'm going to die over my plexiglass window. And so the man looks terrified, and he goes, window didn't break. It's plexiglass. I'm going for back. And so he smacks the back, and, it shatters. It's all in my shirt. It's all over my girl. And now everything just kind of going slow-mo. And I'm like, this isn't good. I'm just trying to figure out how to de-escalate this and how to come out of this where everyone just kind of settles down. And so he's got the taser on me. I'm not getting out of the car because that's how you die. Don't care what anybody else thinks. You get out of the vehicle, you had your phone, you didn't have your phone, your hands, you tripped. The other guy heard the other guy say, don't touch the gun. He heard gun, gun, gun. You don't move. So I'm not moving at this point. And so this guy's pulls his taser out and is sticking it through the window, and he's like, get out of the car. I'm like, sir, just talk to me. The guy's lying. About this time I hear, And so he shoots me in the shoulder with that taser and my arm locks up. Well, I don't know if you understand the taser, but it's not a cattle prong. It doesn't make you move. It locks you up. So there's no complying at that point because you're locked up, and there's no moving because they'll shoot you. So I'm like, well, this has already escalated to a 10. And so I'm kind of yelling because I'm being tased for a second. I'm like, whoa. And so I'm like, I'm not going to try to move or figure out if I can move with this thing. And so I see this about 150-pound officer climbing in the back of the truck and stumbling over everything. I got a small back window. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is just becoming a mess. He's either going to drag my girl over the window or struggle picking my 200-pound butt out through that window. It's not going to happen. Not because I'm not willing. He's just not going to be able to do it. And I'm like, this is just not ending well. And so that just gives me the thought. And in all this chaos, and I just look back at the guy tasing me, and I'm like, sir, am I under arrest? And he looks at me dumbfounded, and he goes, well, yes, sir. And so I look over at my girl, and I'm like, Tiffany, get out of the car before they kill you. And so she gets out of the car, and they whisk her away. And so next thing I know, they grab me, and they carry me out because I'm locked up. And then after they get me out of the vehicle, I see someone grab my rifle and my pistol belt, whisk them away, and they're on top of me. So there's about 10 guys or so on top of me, and they're handcuffing me. I'm yelling at them, going, hey, man, just talk to me. Y'all have no clue what's going on. This man has lied to you. I don't know what he said to you. You just don't understand. Just talk to me. And no one's listening. It's calming a lot back down because at this point, they're just going through their training. They're not actually afraid, and something's not clicking to them. And so they're trying to handcuff me, and they're like, stop resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm just saying, just talk to me. And so, again, I have a flashback to Ranger Regiment when in the infantry, they'll try to ball you up. They'll get about 10 guys. If they don't like you, they'll try to tie you up and throw you in the showers. So they were never successful too much with that with me. So I had this flashback, and so they definitely wouldn't have handcuffed me very soon if I was trying to resist because these are small guys. And so that's just me throwing that out there. But so I'm not resisting. We get up, we're done, and everything just instant back to zero. We're all good. And so we go and we start walking toward the vehicle, and I see them checking out different things and going through different stuff. Everyone's hyped up, like they got their kill on, or they got to do their training, I guess I should say, kind of like military. You got to play your Super Bowl. And so they're all hyped up, and we walk to the state trooper's car, and I see they're about to try to put me in that, and I'm like, do not try to put me in that car. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that man has lied. That man has done so many different things. I'm like, I'm not getting in his car. I'm like, I'll get in the sheriff's department car. I know y'all. I'm like, I'll get in the sheriff's department car, but that man's lied. I'm not getting this vehicle. And he goes, well, he's the arresting officer, so you're getting in the vehicle. And so he opens the door and he tries to shove me in and all this different stuff. And I have a thought at this point. I'm like, where's the girl? Where's she going? So I'm like, hey, officer, I'll do what you want. Just where are you taking the girl and what vehicle is she getting in? And because he's like, well, don't worry about it. He tries to shove me in, and I'm like, I will worry about it. Her dad left her in my charge. It's my responsibility. And so he's not listening. He's trying to shove me in. So I'm sitting down at this point. So I just pop my foot inside the door and wedge it in there. I'm like, he's not getting that out. And so I wait until I see the girl get in the vehicle and which vehicle she gets in. And I'm like, all right, and I pull my foot in. And so whatever you think about that, it's my responsibility. So he closes the door and we're all good. And so after a minute, the fire department or ambulance, one of the medical teams come up and they start working on me. They pull the probe out of my back and they have me coming out of the car, and everything's cooled down. And I look at there's two young state troopers, and not the ones that pulled me over. There was only one guy there, but these two young state troopers are standing there and they're all hyped up. And I'm like, y'all all good? And they're like, yeah, just a scrape or a bruise. And I'm like, what do you call it? Y'all have an adrenaline rush? And so I'm trying to talk to them like I remember in the Army when everyone got to do something cool and they're all hyped up. And so I know this is probably the most exciting thing they've done all week. So this goes on, and so it brings it back down. It's kind of, we're bringing it back down to 0. And so it's all good. And they start treating me well and, taking care of me. Everything's good. So again, no qualms with the officers. Again, if I had heard what I'd heard on the news station over the radio, I probably would have came like that too. So I'm not so much blaming the sheriff's department or anything like that. And so these guys were acting pretty cordial after that. All of a sudden, so they close the door, and next thing I know, a sheriff's department officer comes up, and he opens up the trooper car, and he looks at me, and he's like, most might not do this, but I'm going to read you your Miranda rights. So he reads them to me. And he's like, you understand these? I said, yes, sir. He's like, okay, I just got that. And he seems confused. He's like, why do you not recognize the state troopers, but you recognize us? And so he's kind of confounded by this. And so I look at him and I'm like, well, sir, y'all are the only elected officials in law enforcement and under the Constitution and different things. I'm like, and I do respect and recognize the state troopers. The difference was this officer was lying and starting the power trip and different things and breaking the law. And so then I'm just throwing myself on your authority. I'm like, I can't hold him accountable. He's not elected, nor is he in 10th command. I'm like, you're elected. I can hold you accountable. And so he gets this. And he's like, so are you a sovereign citizen or have sovereign citizen ideology? And again, like I said, with the having authority thing, the police department, all of them are trained and shown a video of a guy that's a sovereign citizen. This young fella gets out with an AK. And so they're taught that sovereign citizens are all cop killers. It's kind of like when, a cop says, well, you've been watching too many videos of the bad cop. So it's the same mindset. They train them a little heavily on that anybody that's a sovereign citizen is a cop killer. And so he asked me.
Yeah, because Southern Poverty Law Center makes a video with the head guy narrating the video was the guy from Waco, the Waco siege, who told the little kid on his phone, "No, we're not going to kill you," and then they went and killed everybody. So they take that guy from Waco, they have him make the video for Southern Poverty Law Center, and they always show these two dudes, a father and son, who shot a cop because they are sovereign citizens, and they relate those two idiots to everybody who believes in freedom.
This, and that what it comes down to is they've bunched up anybody that believes the Constitution or the Bible is the highest authority. That man is a sovereign citizen, even if you're not. And so I look at him like, sir, I am not a sovereign citizen. I don't believe in that garbage and whatnot. I'm like, I just believe the Constitution and the law of the land, just like you do. And so he goes, okay.
So what Grady Judd say? He told us he's kind of sovereign. What an idiot you are, Grady. You are such a scumbag, a slanderous liar. He never said he was a sovereign. He never said he was kind of a sovereign. Nothing like that at all.
Key point. I never said I was a sovereign citizen, didn't say I was sort of sovereign, didn't say anything. If that's the way it was interpreted, focus. If that's the way it was interpreted, then the Sheriff's Department and Grady's Department believes that if you believe the Bible or the Constitution, that you're a sovereign citizen. That's
just like every other department.
my only statement I got on that one. Because all I said was, no, sir, I am not a sovereign citizen. For every lie, it's a little bit of truth mixed with a lie. I'm like, so, it's the same way. I'm like, I believe the same as you, the Constitution and the law of the land. All I've said. So if that's the only place that sovereign citizen was ever brought up was by that officer. So two people I mainly talked to, the only ones I talked to at the arrest site, that state trooper that, called, and he didn't retreat. He didn't ask me about the gun, nothing. And this officer who asked me about being a sovereign citizen. Key point. So as he was sitting there, he's like, okay, so last question. He's like, why do you need such a rifle? I don't remember exact word, but basically such a rifle. And so I think to myself, how can I make him answer his own question? And so I look at him, I'm like, so if there was a mass shooting, what would you do? Would you grab your Pee-wee concealed carry pistol? Would you grab your patrol pistol? Or would you run back to your truck and grab your assault rifle? And he goes, okay, so this is not to cause mayhem, but to stop it. And so I can see he's trying to mix and mingle my words. I'm like, Roger, it's not, it's meant to stop stuff. And I mentioned that, I just got a Ranger regiment 6 months ago. I'm used to using this kind of stuff and whatnot. So this is the conversation. Sit. Man closes the door, he jots something down and he walks away. It's the only conversation. After that, the state troopers were good to me. The officer that caused the problem, the main state trooper, the first one on the site, he drove off, in different things. And so we end up at the field office or over there at Walmart, wherever that is. And so we go inside and just kind of shooting through it, because I'll do a video on it later, what happened throughout booking and jail and stuff, but making key points. That state trooper also walked me to the restroom and different things. No qualms. They also didn't handcuff me when they opened up my cell, told me to walk through 2 different doors and go to the office where a guy named Special Agent Radabom that works with the FBI from the Sheriff's Department who was asking me, he's like, I don't care about your case. I just want to know what Johnny is. And so we talked, and short answer, we talked about the taking your oath and meaning it and not being able to trust people. So that thing being said, I was never handcuffed. So the argument that they thought I was dangerous is a lie. They knew me. They've known me. Grady's talked to me before. Our family and whatnot at different events used to hang out with Grady in different things at different sporting events. He goes to a friend of ours, shock and shoot, that's died. Many different things. He's been to our church before. Radabom and me talked in the Army over the whole Johnny thing. Grady talked to me, and again, the whole thing that they don't know me, it's just propaganda. And so it's just to cover themselves for media. The fellow that asked me about sovereign citizen, just kind of shooting through it, I'll tell a story later. Shooting through it, they're taking me to booking. The officer taking me to booking is the one that asked me about sovereign citizen. We're headed out the door, and this man has me handcuffed. He goes, I don't really need these. It's just, the way I do things. And I'm like, I understand. Again, not afraid of me, just making up a story, whatever it was. Because this is the only guy that mentioned sovereign citizen. So either him or someone he's told made up that story. And so anyway, that's about where I'm going to leave that story. And so different things like that. I hope this clears some stuff up for you. I know we probably will not see eye to eye on convictions and stuff. Different personality. Maybe I'm a little high strung or something. You were not making the Ranger regiment without that kind of energy. So again, that's just where I'm at. Just telling the story, telling the truth the best I know it from my perspective, because that's just all I can do. Is just tell the truth and go about my life. I don't believe I've done anything wrong or immoral. And so I can't help you if we disagree, but at the worst, follow me on this. At the worst, what I've done was I was wrong about traffic law. That's it. Wrong about traffic, because it wasn't about the gun. I was sitting there, and if I was wrong about traffic law, then this officer should have been patient and wrote me a citation or a ticket. And if it wasn't that, because he says I didn't give him the license, he didn't ask again. I just told him, hey, go look it up, and he got mad. So I didn't tell him no on that. Again, the worst I did was a citation, a ticket, and at the very worst, maybe impound my truck. But you took it to a 10 and almost got me killed. If you believe that that is moral and just, then I'm sorry we don't have common ground. I don't believe you understand what it means to be an American or understand the law system we have. And you definitely don't have the same book as me. So that's not to be offensive. I'm just being straightforward. And this is what I got. God bless, and on the next one. Well, now that all that's been said, if you'd like to help or speak with me, contact information is 863-712-9467, or email me at christiancowhand@gmail.com. No caps, Christian like in the Bible, cow like moo, and hand @gmail.com. Or you can message me on social media, and I'll get back to you. Please send this to everyone you know, because with all the lies spread on the news, I'm fighting an uphill battle where my liberties and your children's future is at stake. I will not yield on my convictions, nor take any plea deals. And if God grants me the grace and strength, I will press this fight until the guilty parties are held accountable and your God-given and constitutional rights are recognized by those who swore to protect them. Though it cost me everything. In the name of Christ Jesus, it's all good, because God is good and it's a wonderful life. God bless.
There you go. So if you watch my breakdown of Grady Judd's slanderous press conference yesterday, and you saw the beginning of this video, who do you believe in this situation? You believe cops who are allowed to lie legally and have been caught lying millions of times, cops who are known liars, or do you believe a 27-year-old Army Ranger veteran with no criminal record? This channel is let's see here. It's Samuel Timothy Doolin. He has other videos about this on his channel. He's got like 4 videos. Yeah, cops are encouraged to lie to get a conviction. You ain't kidding there. One state made it illegal for cops to lie. Which one? Yep, Supreme Court ruled cops can lie. That's right. Oh, that happened a year ago, and Grady's just mentioning it now? What's up with that? Yeah. All right, guys. I went to the DMV in Wesley Chapel today. I have a court order. Here it is. I got some good video. They trespassed me from Land O'Lakes tax collector's office. So I got a special subsequent request to enter property subject to trespass. So I can still go to Land O'Lakes DMV tax collector's office. And but I cannot go inside the lobby. And then it says, the undersigned finds that there are other reasonable alternative locations for the appellant to exercise his First Amendment rights or to conduct necessary government business, as the Pasco County Tax Collector's Office has 4 other offices within Pasco not subject to the trespass warning. So I went to the one in Wesley Chapel. I brought this court order. I underlined the relevant part of it. And some idiot security guard comes out. I'm wearing my body camera, but I'm not recording. So I go in there and I ask for a public records request. And then this douchebag named Jeff comes out, who's like a foot taller than me. So I'm big. And he starts badgering me about, are you recording? I said, no. He's like, well, you need to take that camera off. I go, what? I go, bro, I have a court order right here. He goes, wait a minute. Goes in the back, starts acting like a Karen. You're going to want to see that. All right, cool. Caveman, you got to call me and let me know how to get the body cams, because they all went in the back, of course, and talked for over an hour to figure out what they're going to do with me. When it says clear as day right there, I'm allowed to be in there and exercising my First Amendment right. And they tried to throw me out. You got to see it. Anyway, because I can't record there because the tax collector's offices in Pasco County where I live, the deputy tax collector, Timothy Daniel Couette, he wrote a policy saying you can't record in there. And that's it. And then the commissioners added and amended the trespass law to include any sign or any policy that a business, a public entity says you can be trespassed for. So if Timothy Couette says no black people, then they can be trespassed for being black. If they're in there says no praying, you can't put your hands together and pray silently, then Pasco County Sheriff's deputies will come and trespass you for that. They were trying so hard to trespass me from that property today. They said we're not. The security guard literally said, "You're not." I'm like, "You're not going to follow the law." He goes, "My boss said." I go, "You're going to listen to your boss and not the law?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Your boss is the law?" He goes, "Yeah, that's right. My boss is the law." Thanks for watching, everyone. We need a mass audit, but it's so hard to get auditors together. They're so spread so thin across the country, man. Nothing would be better if 40 of us walked in there and just sat there and recorded. Nothing. They need it. All right, everyone. See you later. Stay tuned for more nonsense. Have a good day. Subscribe. Join. 99 cents a month. Please join. See you later.